Raw took place in Springfield, Massachusetts tonight. Before the show really got started, you had Jey Uso and LA Knight almost getting into a fight backstage. Jimmy had to hold Jey back. They're playing off what happened last week at the end of Raw when Jey Uso gave LA Knight a spear. So before I get into what happened next with John Cena, I had to mention this. So Andrade was reportedly released from his WWE contract this past weekend. Definitely a big surprise. Wasn't expecting this. We haven't seen Andrade on TV, and it seems like in a while when you think back. Him and Rey Fenix, it looked like they were going to be pushed as a top tag team on SmackDown. But a lot of things happened now, and reportedly he failed the drug test, and I guess that's what eventually led to his release. You can tell. Perhaps the drug test, they don't trust him to be clean, and they made the decision to move on because he's not too high on the totem pole based on the way he's been booked. So it is what it is now with Andrade. I don't think we'll see him back with WWE ever again. It's 2 releases now. They're not going to bring him back for a third time. And he's up there in age now. He's probably, I don't know if he's 40 or over 40, but he's around that age for sure now. I assume Andrade is going back to AEW, so I would expect to look out for that. But I don't see him back in WWE really ever again. So you had John Cena come out. He made his entrance to a thunderous pop in Springfield, the place where he went to college. This was explained by Joe Tessitore, who was on commentary with Corey Graves, and there was no Michael Cole this week. I believe this is only the 4th Monday Night Raw Michael Cole has missed since like 1997 or something. And I understand he was never the actual commentator, but in terms of being part of the Raw team, this is the first time, like this is only the 4th time he's missed a show. I read that stat on social media. Maybe I'm wrong, but Cole is always there, so he was off tonight. John Cena says his family and friends are here. He talks about playing football in Springfield, and it was actually kind of funny when he first came out. I guess he mentioned The Simpsons because it's Springfield. I think there's like 1 million Springfields in the United States anyways, but he did mention that. Cena cuts a promo on Brock Lesnar. Fans absolutely love John Cena, but they despised Brock Lesnar. There was F Brock Lesnar chants. I hate when they go and start chanting F-bombs at wrestling shows. It just makes you look like such losers. Oh, I'm edgy. I'm cool. I'm chanting the F word. Like, fuck, you're such a loser. I don't know. I'm just so over that. I'm sick of them chanting F you, F you. It's just annoyed with that. But Cena cuts a good promo saying he won't back down from Lesnar. It's a typical John Cena promo. It kind of got me thinking, and maybe it's also because of the size of the venue. Raw tonight looked like a small show. It had a smaller stage, but the crowd looks so much smaller to what it usually does. It's usually doing over like 12,000 people in an arena each week. This was a much smaller arena in a much smaller city, obviously. It really showed, but Cena did a regular promo. I'm thinking, does he really need to be on the show? That's what I thought. Perhaps his final appearance in the state of Massachusetts should just be reserved for that Boston show. We don't need him to come back twice in Massachusetts. And I'm still annoyed that he didn't have his retirement match. He's not going to have his retirement match, if you will, in Boston, which is where he should retire. He should not be retiring in Washington, D.C. So you had Jey Uso and LA Knight arguing in Adam Pearce's office. Pearce gives Knight the option to choose his tag team partner because LA Knight wanted to face both Braun and Bronson, and LA Knight decides to choose Jimmy Uso. Lyra Valkyria is out next, and then Roxanne Perez comes out next with Raquel Rodriguez. And we get Lyra Valkyria and Roxanne Perez. I think a lot of people were complaining last week that we didn't get this. Instead, we got Lyra and Raquel. This time you get Lyra and Roxanne, and it had quite the history in NXT. Lyra, I believe, won the first big match. Then Roxanne beat her in their last match at the Stand and Deliver show in Philly. So at first, it seems like the fans are more into Roxy. I heard a Let's Go Roxy chant, but then the ref would eject Raquel Rodriguez. Roxanne Perez pulls Lyra Valkyria off the top rope and gets the heat on her for a while. Eventually, Lyra makes the babyface comeback, and then she hits the Nightwing onto Roxanne Perez, and Lyra Valkyria defeats Roxanne Perez. After the match, Raquel Rodriguez attacks Lyra Valkyria, and then they beat down Lyra. Roxanne hits the pop rocks. They're going to continue to attack her. And then Bayley makes a surprise return and fights off the heels. She hits the Bayley to belly on Roxanne, and then she goes. It seems like her personality changes. She reverts into the hugger. She begins hugging everyone at ringside, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, the hugger's back. She's hugging everyone. She hugs the announcers, the referees, she hugs some fans, and there's this really morbidly obese fan in the front row with like this giant neck beard. It's like the AEW neckbeards meme. If you ever seen that account where it's like that fat, really fat fan, that's kind of who she hugged. It was actually really funny here. But she's hugging everyone and everything, and I guess the hugger's back. She's reverting back to her NXT days like it was 10 years ago, and maybe she's going to appear on NXT tomorrow night. I think she has. I think we have to see the hugger tomorrow night in NXT. We have to see her. And she did come back earlier in the year, but that didn't go so well. She really performed poorly when she came back in NXT earlier in the year. So you also had something I should mention. Some people have been pointing this out. Bayley is wearing an AJ Lee t-shirt when she came out. I guess AJ wore a hugger shirt in NXT one time, or maybe she did it while she was on Raw, but she did wear a hugger shirt one time in tribute to Bayley. So I guess Bayley did it also with the nod back to AJ Lee. Adam Pearce is backstage with Stephanie Vaquer and Io Sky. The contract is set. We don't get the contract signing, but the contract is present. Both of them have signed it. We don't see that, but it's set up now. Both of them shake hands, and then Asuka and Kairi Sane walk in, and Asuka is really mad at Stephanie Vaquer. She confronts Stephanie. Stephanie doesn't back down to Asuka, and then Asuka announces that Stephanie is going to face Kairi Sane later tonight. Jimmy Uso is in the locker room with LA Knight. Jimmy tells him he will not be his tag team partner tonight. New Day's out next, who cares? It was also reported, and I made note of this when I first was aware of this on X, that unfortunately Tiffany Stratton is no longer medically she's no longer medically cleared to compete at NXT Homecoming tomorrow night at Full Sail. Instead, Lyra Valkyria will take her place in the 6-woman tag match when she teams with Rhea Ripley and Stephanie Vaquer against Fatal Influence. So that's definitely a blow. I was looking forward to Tiffy. No offense to Lyra, but she ain't Tiffy. Tiffy's a much, much bigger star than Lyra. I thought that team of Rhea Ripley, Tiffany Stratton, and Stephanie Vaquer was like this super dream team. Lyra, it's still a cool team. It's a good team, but it's nowhere near as what it would be with Tiffy. That's unfortunate, but I'm sure the match will still be good. We had Penta against Kofi Kingston. Penta wins with the Mexican Destroyer. Not much to say here. Don't care about the New Day. Really, those guys mean nothing to me. Jey Uso talks to Jimmy Uso backstage. He supposedly didn't know that Jimmy already declined LA Knight's request, so Jey is like kind of lecturing him. Jimmy stands up to himself and he didn't officially say it, but he teases that he's going to now be LA Knight's tag team partner after he already told him no. And it was like, no one's telling him Jimmy already declined LA Knight's invitation. I find it hard to believe. Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins dressed in all leather. I guess Becky Lynch is now cosplaying her own husband. They head to the ring, and then we go backstage, and this is back from break. Jimmy Uso goes up to LA Knight in the locker room and says he will be his tag team partner, so they're a team for tonight. Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch are out next. When Becky starts talking, AJ Lee's music interrupts her, and then CM Punk is out with her. CM Punk calls them both goofs, which is accurate. Fans really hate Seth Rollins, but it's weird because they still sing his song. It's just kind of annoying. Becky Lynch brings up AJ Lee's neck history. AJ responds by saying she doesn't know how it's going to hold up, so she's teasing that I'm sure they'll do neck spots, they'll do neck injuries, but they're already bringing that up. And Becky brought up AJ's book, and AJ responded with a snide remark that she never read Becky's book, even though Becky read hers. The segment goes on forever. I thought it won't end. I thought it dragged a bit. I see unanimous praise for it on social media. I thought the one last week was better, and obviously the one on SmackDown a couple weeks ago was excellent. That's AJ's big return. But here, I just felt this kind of dragged on a bit. I know I'm in the minority for that. I guess most people actually really liked it, as it seems, but I thought it just dragged on a bit too much here. Eventually, the fans they every single thing AJ Lee does, they chant it, and it kind of got on my nerves. I just find it kind of a little obnoxious in a way. That it's they're standing her. I just find it obnoxious in a way, and it's almost like an eye roll. Just thinking, these guys are just so annoying. I'm thinking to myself, all right, you like AJ Lee. I'm happy to have her back. Like, every single thing, you don't have to just tell her how much you love her. It's almost, saying, yes, queen, like a stan account on X. That's what it seems like. They seem like stans in the fans. These, eventually, Rollins says Punk leaves when things go bad, and he teases that, CM Punk is going to leave AJ Lee after WrestlePalooza. This prompts AJ Lee to slap Seth Rollins in the face. They're selling it now as Becky's afraid of AJ because Seth said, I have someone who will hit a woman. He used the same line that Punk used on SmackDown when AJ returned. And as they say it looks like Becky's afraid of AJ. Becky leaves the ring. Seth goes after her, and then it's all a ruse because Becky sneaks back in the ring, hits a manhandle slam onto AJ Lee, and then she begins slapping she begins slapping CM Punk again. Punk's furious. He checks on his wife. Becky retreats, and CM Punk's left checking on AJ Lee as Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch get the heat and stand tall, and I wouldn't give them much of a chance to win on Saturday. Byron Saxton interviews Dominic Mysterio as he's now the new AAA Mega Champion, as seen on Worlds Collide. Then we hear sounds of an assault backstage, something happening, like things falling to the ground, and it's all concrete, so you assume some steel chair, something's whacking the ground, it sounds like, and it's the New Day attacked Penta with the chair backstage. El Grande Americano faced Dragon Lee. The other Americanos kept attacking Dragon Lee. AJ Styles came out to fight after them, and then a third one comes in, attacks AJ, and then the other one attacks Dragon Lee. Eventually, the Ludwig Kaiser Grande Americano wins the match. Lyra Valkyria is in the locker room. She overhears Bayley talking to herself in another locker room, and I guess they're doing this the storyline where Bayley has a split personality now. That's her new gimmick. She doesn't know if she's the hugger or if she's the role model or if she's like damage control bitch Bayley. I don't know, but it is what it is. It's what they're doing now with Bayley. Stephanie Vaquer is backstage, and she's met by Rhea Ripley, who I guess was hanging out with Art the Clown this past weekend, going to the Wyatt Haunted House or the Halloween Horror Nights Universal Studios in Orlando. I think Rhea was there. Actually, it might not be Orlando. It might be California. I'm not sure which one it was, but I know I saw pictures of Rhea Ripley there and Tiffany Stratton also there. But I know Rhea was hanging out at concerts with Art the Clown this past weekend, and she has nothing to do on Raw, so she should have just stayed at the concerts. But she tells Stephanie Vaquer she's coming for her if she has the belt next. That would make sense, as the next PLE after WrestlePalooza is Crown Jewel, which this year will take place in Australia, the home country of one Rhea Ripley. Stephanie Vaquer is out next, and then Kairi Sane comes out with Asuka. We have Stephanie Vaquer and Kairi Sane. Stephanie took both of them out in the match with a crossbody onto the floor, which looked excellent. Steph looked great coming off the top rope, taking out both Asuka and Kairi. The fans were behind Stephanie Vaquer, even though it's strange because Kairi Sane kind of wrestles as a babyface, even though she's technically the heel here. And I think Kairi just is a natural babyface. So eventually we get Stephanie Vaquer hitting the Devil's Kiss on Kairi Sane. Everyone in the crowd absolutely loved it. They were so happy to see it. They did the like Booker T does. Gets a huge ovation. Devil's Kiss is one of the most over moves in pro wrestling. After that, Stephanie hits the SVB and pins Kairi Sane, and then she will face Kairi Sane's best friend, Io Sky, at WrestlePalooza. So Io Sky comes out. She's there to stop Asuka from going after Stephanie Vaquer after Asuka's upset because her Kabuki Warrior tag team partner lost. Eventually, Io gets Asuka to back down, and then Stephanie Vaquer and Io Sky have a stare down together in the ring. And Io, I believe one of them extended their hands to the other. They shake it. A lot of respect. It's a total babyface match. I'm interested to seeing the fan reception on Saturday. It might be a 50-50 crowd, but they both embrace each other. Lots of signs of respect. Both of them really seems like going in as total babyface. Not even the hint of one of them turning heel, but that's how the segment ended with Io and Stephanie to set up their match this Saturday. We got a Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed video package. Backstage, Asuka yells at Io Sky, and Kairi Sane tries to hold her back. Eventually, Asuka yells at Kairi to leave, and Io Sky looks dejected. We all know what's happening. They're going to turn on Io. I assume they might even cost her the match this Saturday. I don't expect Io to win. I think Stephanie Vaquer will be the new Women's World Champion at WrestlePalooza. They preview WrestlePalooza. Then you have Judgment Day backstage drinking champagne in honor of Dirty Dom winning the AAA Mega Championship. Finn is still upset with El Grande Americano. He dumps the champagne, and they're upset. Eventually, Finn and JD leave. Raquel and Roxanne look concerned. Then Rusev introduces himself to Dom and says he'll be the next Intercontinental Champion. They show us outside of Full Sail University, which is the site of tomorrow night's NXT Homecoming show, which I'm pretty ecstatic for. And then we get the main event, LA Knight and Jimmy Uso against Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. So Bronson Reed pins Jimmy Uso because he's a jobber. They beat down Jimmy after the match. Jey Uso has a chair and makes the save. Fights off both Braun and Bronson. I feel like I've seen this ending to Raw 300 times in like the last 2 months. Like I feel like this is the ending to every Raw. I don't know why. Jey fighting with the Bloodline, not the Bloodline, the Vision. LA Knight grabs a chair and teases hitting Jey, but he puts it down. Jey offers a handshake. LA Knight shakes his hand, but then when Jay's not looking, LA Knight hits the BFT in response last week in which Jey hit the spear. So LA Knight lays out Jey Uso, hits him with the BFT, and the Usos, however, will face Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed at WrestlePalooza. I don't think they're going to win. It wouldn't surprise me to see LA Knight kind of inadvertently cost them the match or something. But that's how Raw ended, and that was the final show, the go-home show, to the final go-home show of Raw, at least, to WrestlePalooza, which takes place this Saturday.